Sheffield City Expats Club is a non-profit social organisation and our speakers are volunteers. The club as such assumes no responsibility or liability for the professional reputation of or the quality of services provided by the speaker today.
Shaw. Currently Shaw is the drama director with TETD, Teaching English Through Drama, Limited in Thailand. So drama is a program comprising of a group of teachers, writers and dramatists and investors who have come together to provide a unique approach to learning English as a foreign language, whilst offering scholarships to orphans, refugees and street children. So please give a warm welcome to Sean McLaughlin.
Thank you very much indeed. Are you all hearing me clearly? Yes. Having been a BBC producer, I should remember where the microphone is, but if I suddenly do this, give me the thumbs up, okay? So, English through drama. I spent something like 30 years at the BBC as first of all a television script editor and then as a radio drama producer. And now I would like to give something back for all the wonderful things that we've experienced. I'm not going to try because I'm not a technician at all. In fact, when I was at the BBC, if I so much as touched a piece of equipment, there would be a walkout. Because as a producer, I would be depriving people of their work. Okay, now before I go on, Mimi, would you please come up here? Please come up here, Mimi. Because Mimi is a very valued colleague of mine. In fact, she is the academic or education director of English Through Drama. And she has been teaching here in Thailand for 14 years. She's from the Philippines, and like a lot of very clever Philippines, they come to Thailand to teach or to be nurses or whatever. So Mimi has been helping us from the very beginning with English Through Drama. So I'm not going to try and link to these websites, but we have two websites. The first, EnglishThroughDrama.com, is please have a look at it if you have a chance. Please make a note, have a look at it. It tells you a lot about what we have done. For example, last year at this time, we were working with two charities in Nepal to use English Through Drama to help poor students right up in the Himalayas to learn English. But not only to learn English, but many, many other skills, like useful life skills, like writing, which can lead to copywriting and journalism, like acting, which might lead to confidence in public speaking, costume design, all the things that arise out of drama. So drama can be very, very helpful in life skills. Anyway, we realized that we had all this up, but we weren't actually explaining what we were about. And we want to make a sustainable business that can help, in the long run, can help orphans and give scholarships. That's our ambition. I want to give back all the wonderful experience and joy I had as a radio drama producer, television script editor. I want to give back to society as much as I can before I pop my clogs, as they say. I'm 82, but I'm doing okay. Yes, Mimi, thank you very much. I will ask you back again. And Mimi is going to pass around some handbooks of what we're doing for secondary students and for primary students. Please look after them very carefully. Don't spill your coffee on them and give them back when you leave. So please pass them round and see what we're doing. Give you a good idea. But I should say, we're not only aiming at school children, we are also last year, for example, We taught English in a 5-star hotel in Phuket, and that's something else we can do. Mimi has taught Thai English to Thai police using English through drama and other methods. We can also do corporate work. Somebody was talking about that. We haven't done it yet, but we would love to do that. So we're very, very open to all sorts of possibilities. Okay? If you have a burning question, put your hand up and I will try and answer it. Okay, so our motto is, have fun and learn English as you learnt your mother tongue. Okay, so I told you a little bit about myself. I was at Oxford 60 years ago, very different Oxford in those days, with the BBC for 30 years. And then Mimi has also been in Oxford. She has a certificate from Oxford University for joining a teacher's continuing education seminar in Oxford with, I think it was 65 students from 35 different countries. And a lot of them are rather interested in using English through drama. So as we expand our team, we will be hoping to respond to all these wonderful possibilities and to take English through drama into many, many countries. For example, we have one chap who's very, very keen from this course called Ahmed Bakouch from Morocco. And he very much wants to use English through drama. And in fact, what he is doing now is to translate some of the material into Arabic. So we hope to get started in Morocco, not too far in the distant future, and then maybe to expand into the other 26 countries, I think, of the Arab League. So maybe we will be taking off in those countries. What I also want to tell you, there's so much to tell you actually, that we're hoping also to help poor students in Birmingham that may come from an Arabic or Indian background. I'll come back to that. Okay, so that's Mimi and myself, and then we have a very good IT consultant, a very bright Filipino, who's very good webmaster, and he's actually can't be here today because he's in Chumpon. And then we have a young Englishman called Christian Anstey. We met him in Nepal, working with Right for Children and the Child Welfare Scheme, using English through drama in these remote Himalayan schools this time last year. And Christian is a recent graduate of a drama school. He's also a teacher, and he's a very good actor. At the moment, he's doing a very, very interesting project. He's touring Germany with an American theatre company that is producing the Christmas Carol in English and touring Germany at the same time. So they too, in a way, are doing the same as us, teaching English through drama. So that's what Christian is doing. And then I'm hoping we can now see a video of Christian in Nepal.
Hello everybody, my name is Christian and I have volunteered to work with English through. Hello everybody, my name is Christian and I have volunteered to work with English through drama. I'm having a fantastic time here in Nepal. It's a wonderful country full of wonderful, wonderful people. And I have a background in theatre and drama. I trained at East 15 Drama School, and I've taught theatre for a year back in England. It's been a wonderful experience to bring my knowledge of the subject out here, and I've really found the value of drama through teaching it to these people. There's such a sense of fun that it can bring. And it really installs confidence. English through drama is an approach to teaching, and with this approach of bringing physicality and physical ideas to teaching, the kids really do engage what their subject is and have so much fun, and I've found it so rewarding to watch their confidence build up day by day. So it's been fantastic to work with English through drama. I will be trying to pursue it as much as I can to be helping them as much as I can, and we're going to embark on some pretty wonderful projects that Paul will be in the person. Thanks very much.
Okay, and then so that's Christian, and he hopefully he's coming to Thailand to help to spread the word in the new year after he's finished A Christmas Carol in Germany. And we had great fun when I was in England doing some audio production. I'm teaching him to be an audio drama producer. I'll come back to that. But he's very, very keen. He sees that we're trying to do something really worthwhile and wonderful. We're a small team at the moment, but we hope to expand. However, I just put in my old friend Bob, who is joining us. And Bob is a very, very experienced and useful friend that I've worked with in the past. So Bob Pearson was an early presenter for the BBC and one of the first presenters for HTV. He was also worked in British Forces Broadcasting for many years, as you can see, in Cologne, Berlin, Singapore, Malta and Gibraltar. He then became Programme Director and then the Managing Director of Beacon Radio in Wolverhampton. And then he became an independent consultant in radio. Very, very detailed work he produced. I've seen some enormous books of data and research that he produced in order to obtain radio licenses, to compete for radio licenses. And he competed successfully for the license for Classic FM. He really did his homework, and he got the license for Classic FM, which has been a great success, as you all know. So this is Bob. And then we together, actually what happened was, as I was leaving the BBC, I had been producing a lot of Shakespeare for audio, especially with drama schools like the Bristol Old Vic Theatre School and the Birmingham School of Acting, and I noticed that it was many, many years since there had been a collection of Shakespeare plays. So we went to Penguin Audio. This is Bob. He was very good at wheeler dealing, promoting and so on. And we said to Penguin we could produce the entire works of Shakespeare for you. And they said, great, how much would it cost? And they went, and we told them, because they're large casts in Shakespeare, they took a deep breath and they said, that's twice our yearly budget. What can you do more cheaply? So we went away and we said, okay, we can do 4 Oscar Wilde plays. So that was with Bob. And then subsequently he managed Liberty Radio in London, which he purchased, and from El Fayed, you know, who's the father of the manager, the owner of Harrods, and the father of Dodie, who was the boyfriend of Princess Diana. So Bob went to negotiate that on behalf of Liberty Radio, which was actually bought by a born-again Christian Brazilian bishop. So Bob did that for the Brazilian bishop. Okay. And now what are we doing? Bob is great. He's coming up with lots of ideas. We love working together, and he's having a go. I think I was mentioning, he's having a go with a chap called Peter Tomlinson that I met with him at seeing whether we can get English through drama into poor schools in inner Birmingham, where there's a very high proportion of non-English speakers. I mean, one of the tragedies is that, for example, a lot of recruiting for Muslim terrorism starts in some of these schools. So we want to get English through drama into these schools to teach a sense of community, a sense of peace, a sense of creativity, a meaning in life, you know? That's our ambition, is to use English through drama for that kind of good thing to do. And what we want to do is to create an international forum. So, for example, if there are productions in Morocco, they can be shared with productions they can inspire each other through a forum. So we want, the great ambition is very, very ambitious, this idea, but it's to create a kind of global forum of peace and creativity. And with that in mind, I'm very keen on classical music, and I've written quite a lot of web pages about the lives and the music of famous composers. So Bob suggested we should go to Classic FM and see whether they might consider doing some episodes of lives of the composers. So we're hoping to do that. And one of the students I worked with when I was teaching at the Bristol Old Vic Theatre School was Alid Jones. And Alid and I got on pretty well. So I'm thinking if get him interested, then we might get a foot in the door. So that's it. And the final idea that Bob has was he's also worked with Christian radio stations. So we might suggest, without any proselytizing, I certainly don't want to proselytize, but we might suggest that we produce some Bible stories for them. They can then do with them what they like. But we already, it's rather interesting that Mimi and I were asked by a school in Bangkok, a Buddhist school in Bangkok, if we would produce a nativity play for them to show the students the story behind Christmas. As you know, they all know about Santa Claus and the reindeers, but they don't know very much about the tradition, the story, the nativity story of Christmas itself. So this enlightened Buddhist school asked us to put on a nativity play. So that went down well and was a good experience. So I was talking to Bob about that, and he said, well, why don't we make some more Bible stories? So that's Bob. He's a great friend and a great inspirer. Okay, now what about you? What about you? Okay? Can you think of people in your family? Do you have wives, girlfriends, children, school teachers, friends that we can help? You know, what I haven't explained so far is that these books are coming round. They are books for teachers, but we're also producing books for parents, which are translated into Thai. So we have Thai parents and children's books for kindergarten, primary and secondary. So we spent a lot of time, as you can imagine, doing this, getting help to get these translations. So both in handbooks and online, parents, if they're interested, can help their children after school. For example, we did a project. We had a wonderful 3 days up in Nakhon Sakhon, Warrat Chumpon it was. And there we produced, we were asked to do a workshop there, and we produced part of the Jungle Book, part of Romeo and Juliet, and part of a play that I wrote specially to celebrate ASEAN. You know what I mean by ASEAN? It was called Presents from Heaven. And instead of asking for presents, two little Thai children, a boy Ying Thai and I forget, two little Thai children asked for friends instead of presents. So the friends arrived, some by parachute, some by balloon, some on a boat up the Chao Phraya River, and they all celebrated Christmas together in this little play, Presents for Heaven. And I can't tell you how wonderful the parents were in helping us to make props and costumes and encouraging their children. So it was a wonderful example of teachers, parents and children working together. And we would love to do more like that. We'd really love to do more like that. So I'm very grateful for any feedback, any ideas you have, any contact suggestions about this. Okay? So that's it. And we want to make it sustainable. We have to try to be a business. I'm not a businessman. Mimi isn't really a businesswoman, although a little bit more than me, being a woman. So we need a bit of help on the business side, to be honest. I'd like to come clean about that. Because I'm absolutely full of ideas, as you can see, and energy, and commitment, and enthusiasm, and all the rest of it. But I'm not a businessman. I wish I were, but I'm not. And as I say, we want to help and support global children globally. Right. So, Why English through drama? Children and adults absorb English without making an effort. It's fun, you know? And the nice thing about it is that they can work as a team. I mean, some of them naturally want to be film stars. Others may be very, very shy, but they can do something behind the scenes, you know? We can try to find what their creative input. So everybody is creating, is contributing something. So you can see all the life skills: writing, journalism, copywriting, acting, public speaking, and so on and so on. There are many websites for conventional by rote English teaching and learning. Our approach is more practical, and we want to involve parents. Sometimes the schools say, oh, the parents aren't interested. To which we say, well, okay, if some parents aren't interested, the children can still read about this in Thai. You know, we're producing these handbooks in Thai. Okay. Right. So we're inspired to pass on this information. A little bit more about myself. I was script editor of, first of all, of a program called 30-Minute Theatre on BBC Two. This is in 1966 when I joined the BBC at the age of 30. I was very lucky to get into the BBC, and it was a question not what I knew, but who I knew, I have to admit. I mean, that's how it happens very often. So I knew the right people. So I got in, they gave me the job, gave me a 3-month contract. Actually, my new boss, producer, and I was a script editor, took me into an office and he said, there are the scripts. It was a small office piled to the ceiling with scripts. He said, read those, I'm going to Wimbledon, I'm very fond of tennis. So I started reading and reading and reading. He said, also, ring up all the writers you know and ask for ideas. I had to find 37 half-hour plays a year for 2 years. At the end of the 2 years, I was then asked to be script editor of the Wednesday play. Who here is old enough to remember the Wednesday play? Very good. Some people over here. So I was script editor of one strand of the Wednesday play. And then I worked on something called Theatre 625, another drama slot on BBC. But then I discovered I didn't enjoy television. It was too cutthroat, too ambitious. And I love working with writers. Actually, my mother was a novelist, so I knew something of psychology of novelists, of writers. And she was also a journalist. Actually, I will tell you, I got time. How am I doing for time?
Not that good.
So I'm running out of time, am I? Okay. All right, I'm going to tell you, I was actually, you're looking at Britain's Best Baby on the Daily Express. My mother did a series about bringing up children. And I was Simon Blunt, her pen name was Martha Blunt. I was Simon Blunt of the Express, Britain's Best Baby. Never been so famous since. Okay, enough about that. Okay, so I won then I moved to radio, which I love much more. I was script editor of the afternoon play on Radio 4, finding 200 plays a year. And then I moved to the wonderful job of being radio drama producer in Bristol, which I absolutely loved. So, I think, and I won a couple of comedy awards. One of them I'm going to play a little bit of later, if we have time. Okay? Right, okay. On with the game. So, our unique selling points of English through drama. So I've chosen a lot of these dramas, 10 plays for primary students, and drama games for kindergarten. Bibi Akuna, our education director, well, I was telling you about this, and we should be setting up an international drama forum whereby kids, parents and teachers can help and inspire each other across the globe. The drama elements of our courses encourage the creativity of kids. Nearly each play has a cliffhanger. I mean, for example, when Romeo kills Tybalt, what happens next? We don't go on with the play. We get the teachers, the children to work in groups to come up with their own endings. So they are being creative to produce those. Do you see what I mean? So nearly all of them have cliffhangers. And then they can We can also give them the full script if they want to do a school or after school production. Right. So as I said, the parents' courses are translated into Thai, and they will be translated into many other languages such as Hindi, Bengali, Arabic. We're talking about this, so we're hoping to take off globally. So and a little bit about the sustainable business. If the parents' courses are treated as set books that the parents are required to buy for a modest annual fee, this can engender a valuable income for the school. You probably work that out for yourself, but so say 600 baht a year for the handbooks and online access, and that could make a school of 1,000 could make quite a bit of money. And then we carve that up with the schools, and some of it we use for helping the children that we want to help. So that's an idea for the sustainable business. But I mean, I'm grateful for any other ideas. As I said, I'm not a businessman. And we might, if we can find teachers. Mimi's very good at finding teachers, and we can send them into hotels, we can help with corporate work, we can train the police, we can train bank clerks and all the rest of it. So, now, this is quite a unique selling point. In the secondary courses, I realized when I was producing a play, I needed to become an expert on the background to the play. I needed to know everything I possibly could in order to help the actors to feel real, to inhabit the characters, to inhabit their lives. So an important part of the secondary courses is research. So we got kind of research quizzes on a variety of subjects, and we'll go through those quickly. In the shipwreck, that's the first of the secondary courses. We have explorers parts of the ship, then we have the Mississippi River. Well, you can read this for yourself. So these are some of the subjects, the backgrounds to the plays that would help students to inhabit the characters, to help the teachers to inhabit the characters, and also very good for general knowledge and general education. So you can see sailing ships and pirates, yo-ho-ho and a bottle of rum. Lots of, as I said, I'm very keen on classical music, so that was lovely, and Sleeping Beauty. David Copperfield has a Victorian background, and then of course Romeo and Juliet, Shakespeare, Italy, and West Side Story for New York. So those are some of the subjects. Right. Unique add-ons. So we have a lot about music in production, and a lot of the background to audio plays. I've written a lot about that because that's what I know. I've actually written a book called Writing and Acting for Radio, which has all this information, but I'm sorry to say it's out of print. It went into 4 editions, but it's a bit out of date, and I haven't had time to bring it up to date yet. So that's the book, gone slightly by the wayside. I wanted to play this, I don't know. Great. So I want you to guess, a little bit of a quiz for you. Who is the actor? And who is the writer? Now, before Brad plays it, I want to say this is audio. Remember, the pictures are better in audio. The colors are brighter in audio. But it does require you, the listener, to concentrate, to really listen. So have a listen. If you can, tell me who this is.
Freaks. That wasn't the desert winds over the high Sierra. That was the winds whistling in Antarctica. What you're hearing is the icy bit at the bottom of the world. Though, as they tell you in Australia, since there's no up and down in space, it's as reasonable to call it the top as the bottom. That way the Australians can get to be not down and under, but on top. If that suits them, it's okay by me. I'm not in the business of making anyone feel bad. All I ever wanted to do was move the world on a bit. Understand the material universe. Why are scientists so unpopular? Is there something wrong with harnessing the power of the sun, curing melanoma? You people out there are ungrateful. I won't say stupid, you'd switch off. And then I'd have wasted good money on this sound studio hiring these airwaves. I know I called you freaks, but don't take it too hard. Face it, You're listening to the radio, not watching TV, and that makes you the last of the listeners. All you want is someone's voice to fill the space between your ears. What you want is what God never gave us. A story with a beginning, a middle, and an end. A point and a purpose. Some kind of pattern in amongst the chaos. All I ever wanted or worked for. Now it all had catastrophe theory, fractals. My generation paved the way, and is anyone grateful? No. Listen again. At food. Seagulls signify the coast. The coastline in Antarctica? Well, okay. Okay, make that night. The coast of Antarctica, night. A little town at night on the coast of Antarctica. A big town at night on some cliff on Antarctica. A churchyard? No. Here the mind boggles. That's what I had in mind for you, the boggling of the mind. Overload. Even if I told you that was a high wind in Jamaica. You still have trouble. So forget it. Let's have some silence. Silence is frightening. Nothingness.
Okay, so can anybody tell me who that actor was? No. You. Who? You. No, I couldn't do that. Any other guesses?
Tom Hanks? Tom Hanks?
No. No? Oh, nobody's guessing. I'm trying to think. Anyway, I'll tell you. Walter Matthau. Walter Matthau. It was the only radio play he ever performed in, and I directed him under Santa Monica College in Los Angeles. And I was told by my Jewish writer friend, that he was in his anecdotage. And he really proved that, you know, he never stopped telling amusing stories, but I was getting very worried about getting on with the production, because days were passing and we weren't getting a good performance from Walter Matthau in the can. And it kept forgetting where the microphone was. So the microphone was here. In radio, the microphone's that far. But you know what he did? He suddenly, on the third day it was going well, but he suddenly turned his back on the microphone. So he sounded about 20 yards away. So I'm a pretty patient man, but I went into the studio and I said, Walter, the microphone is here, okay? You speak into the microphone like this. And I spoke a line or two. I never normally do that to a professional actor, but I lost my cool a bit. And he said, hey, Sean, that's a very good performance. Do it again. And I went falsetto. I said, no, Walter, you do it, please. And I went back into the control room, and he did it. He behaved from then on. Anyway, to cut a long story short, the writer was Fay Weldon, who I'm sure you've heard of. Famous feminist writer, Fay Weldon. Okay, so that's that. I don't think I have much time. Mimi teaches TEFL, and we did a very, very quick game for her to look at, but I'm going to, because we're short of time, I'm going to whiz through it. So this is the kind of thing we do in TEFL. We have rounds in which we guess. What is that? Tiger. Good. Good. Good.
Italy.
Good. You're doing better than you did on Walter Matthau.
Japan.
They're famous people. Good. Well done.
Wow.
Difficult to miss these days. Good. No. music and movies, should have reminded you. I can't remember these. This one is a little bit easier for me because it's more my generation. The younger generation. Okay, so audio. At secondary level, we have 8 audio dramas as well as 8 stage plays we performed. They're much easier to produce than stage or television plays, and sixth formers, university and apprentice students can make their own documentaries and plays, you know? So that's what we encourage. We want to encourage people to make something that they can enjoy and share with their friends and families. Have you heard of the small boy who preferred radio to television? I think I asked that already. Why did he prefer radio to television? But you know? Because the pictures are better. Anything you can imagine, you know? In Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, you can get 26 men inside a sardine tin, for example, you know? You can get a man to sit on a circular saw in outer space. You can imagine all sorts of things on radio. It's a wonderful, wonderful medium. And a small girl liked radio more than television because the pictures, the colours were more vivid. Okay. Right, so using my BBC experience, I've made audio documentaries, politically incorrect comedy, the answer to Brexit, and something on Australia. Right, so here is a documentary that with the help of my 12-year-old son Seamus I put together. It is an account through the ages of our cycling pilgrimage to Santiago in Spain. I don't know how many of you know about the pilgrimage to Santiago. In the Middle Ages, there were millions of people used to make it in northwest Spain. It was called the Camino Real. It was more popular pilgrimage than that to Jerusalem or to Rome. So anyway, Seamus and I cycled 1,100 miles along it. I think we can go on to the next, a little bit of seeing what's involved. But we recorded our diaries, we interviewed people, we got a wonderful woman who was the kind of one medieval band, lots and lots of different medieval instruments. And we recorded actors reading accounts from the Middle Ages. So this is what was involved. Do I press for the audio?
The Field of the Star. Last year, Sean McLaughlin was among the 500 or 600 pilgrims who walked or cycled to Santiago de Compostela in Spain. His companion was his son, Seamus.
My dad told me we were going to cycle to Santiago. He just told me, but now I'm glad I went. It was about 1,100 miles and took us around 5.5 weeks. I was 12 then, but now I'm 13, and we both kept diaries.
Careful, right? Be careful. Don't put your foot in the camera. The whole thing, right? And just be careful. Yeah,
At 3:29 p.m, we set off for Temple Meads, and I recorded everyone saying goodbye.
Please, St. James, guide our wheels and bring us safely to your shrine and to heaven.
And at 4:10 the train set off. At 6:46 the train arrived at Portsmouth Harbour Station. We cycled 1.5 miles to the ferry terminal at about 7 o'clock. I'm very excited about having to cycle onto the boat. The boat rocked all night, up, down, and it was awful, but I still liked it.
All up the boat. Now veer the ship. Cook. Make ready our meat. Our pilgrims have no lust to eat. Steward, a pot of beer, and none of the best. Oh, see how well our good ship sails, and thus they say anon. Steward, cover the board anon, and set bread and salt thereon, and tarry not too long.
After docking at Saint Malo, we started our pilgrimage proper from Mont Saint-Michel in Normandy, where many pilgrims set out in the Middle Ages.
Ici la visite au Mont-Saint-Michel, les personnes qui veulent visiter, c'est ici en tête. L'arrêt de démonstration des cachets les prisonniers à l'instant.
Mont Saint-Michel is crowded with tourists and very noisy. We left our bikes by the gendarmerie
And walked up the crowded Triller streets with our heavy packs to the Abbey. There we were met by Sister Brigitte and attended Vespers. The Psalms seemed to be poetry in all languages. We had a simple Friday supper and walked around the island with the tide coming up. And we had a good night's sleep. Matins at 7 o'clock in a small oratory, followed by breakfast and lounge. And then one of the brothers blessed our undertaking.
Soyez bénis, Seigneur, et bénissez spécialement nos deux amis qui maintenant vont partir vers Saint-Jean du Compostelle. Que l'apôtre et notre archange les accompagnent sur leur route et les ramènent sains et saufs dans leur foyer. Par Jésus-Christ, notre Seigneur. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, I was going to tell you a bit about being politically incorrect. I was going to tell you, I've run out of time, I'm afraid, so you can't hear the politically incorrect comedy, which I was hoping to enjoy with you, and I can't share Gough Whitlam with you, because I made the history of Australia. So sorry about that, maybe for another time, okay? So we'll flash on towards the end. So this was the answer to Brexit you're going to miss. And that's right, and this is a bit of Gough. I'll play you just a tiny bit of Gough Whitlam, okay?
Men and women of Australia, there are moments in history when the whole fate and future of nations can be decided by a single decision. For Australia, this is such a time.
Okay, sorry, that's just a taste. Okay, so from my BBC experience, and to help my colleagues and perhaps some of you, I should like to build English through drama to help and inspire the next generation. So please keep in touch with me, and there's my email. So, any questions to me and to Mimi, please.
All right, thanks for your presentation. Now, I've got a question, or I preface it. We are divided by a common language called English. Now, you as an Englishman, your diction, your syllable stress is excellent. And as you know, when you go to Mississippi, California, wherever, Australia, in my case, there is a wide range of so-called English. Now, what sort of level of English are you teaching? Or, in other words, let's say in China at the moment, 600 million Chinese are learning so-called English. But what is the level, I understand the artistic, playful learning of drama, but you still can't get around, the hard grammar, the proper pronunciation and so on. So, what is your mix or your level or accent or, I don't know, in your schools?
Well, I think actually we had this problem, you may not believe it, but we had this problem in the BBC. The largest number of complaints we got when I was script editor of the afternoon play slot was for plays in Scottish, because a lot of people couldn't understand them. And I would say the important thing, the really important thing is not the accent. Anybody, if it's properly articulated, everybody should be able to understand. The important thing is to train actors and speakers to speak clearly, to sound the vowels, to sound the consonants. And I'm very, very happy whatever accent it is, you know. I certainly don't want everybody to be speaking with my accent. That would be very boring. Okay, any other questions?
Hello. I'm a member of the Patching Players, which is a drama group that performs 2 or 3 things a year. We're actually I'm doing a pantomime next week and the week after, and we're performing here in 2 Sundays' time. But my question is, a few years ago we tried to put on a radio drama, and we had a good response, more than we get for other theatres, because people are quite happy to read, but don't like to learn the lines and to perform. The problem we had was that the play wasn't really suitable for radio, and quite early on we decided that we weren't able to do that. What my question to you is, have you got any advice for us to which plays would be suitable to radio, and how we can get hold of those?
Well, yeah, I really appreciate the problem, because I actually arrived from television in radio, and I tried to start producing television plays for radio, and it was a complete disaster. So very clearly the plays need to be written for radio. I mean, there is hardly a famous writer, dramatist of the 20th century who didn't start in radio. So Tom Stoppard, Harold Pinter, Arthur Miller, they all started in radio. You can find these scripts, no problem at all. I mean, they're published, you know, you can probably find quite a lot of productions online. But the play, of course, should be written for radio. Okay, does that answer the question?
Yes, but I'd really like some recommendations from you. But perhaps
okay, afterwards. Okay, we can talk about that. Yeah. Okay.
On your left here, please. On your left.
My name is Terry Ward, and I'm a retired professor from Leeds University. And I've had the privilege of working for the BBC, and also the privilege of working for Chinese television, CCTV, teaching English, would you believe. And this is an observation more than anything else. I think that foreigners who want to learn English are very lucky, because there's such an abundance of material of teaching English and learning English, you see, and it's very high quality, and this is an example, you see. And the British Council do a great deal of work on this, as you know, through Cambridge University and IELTS and all that sort of business, you see. And my final comment is that I've been in Thailand a number of years, and perhaps 10 years, oops, am I there? Yes. Perhaps 10 years ago, I thought I would learn Thai. And do you know, the material that I found, at least, is so pathetic and poor that I found it very, very difficult. It's mostly homespun by the particular school that you were attending, nothing national or organised, you see. So my final comment, as I just made, is learning English for a foreigner is relatively easy thanks through people like yourself.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. One over here, the young man.
On the other side.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm also a member of Patio Players, but I've also been involved with the Expat Club here and volunteering English conversation classes. And one of the organisations I was with, I sort of tried to put the two things together and suggested to my students who, they were adult and primarily university educated adults. Having said that, their level of English was not really good. And I tried to sort of combine this by suggesting that we did some, to the students, that we did some short videos where they would explain their different department job activities, and we would go around the organisation doing that. But I found that it was extremely difficult, because of and the video, of course, had to be in English, was extremely difficult because of their low level of English. And we succeeded to a certain extent in the end, but it was very difficult, even to the extent of them writing down their job description. Never mind standing in front of a camera. We had the media department of the organisation who were with us. And speak, how would you address that?
Well, I actually, soon after I left the BBC, I directed a stage play in Vietnam. It was using Othello meeting a famous Vietnamese courtesan in the play. And I was having to teach the actors, they were some of Vietnam's leading actors, but I was having to teach them word by word the correct articulation, you know? So that took a long time. And we spent many hours together getting them to repeat the correct rhythm, the music, the articulation, so that people could understand. I think the only answer to this is hard work, and you know, miracles are very carefully prepared, as a friend of mine once said.
One more from Patia Players. I am the current president of Patia Players, and on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, we're going to have a board meeting. What I would like to do at that board meeting is present any information that you will give me on how we can assist you, on how we can join you. We have quite a few actors, writers, many, many talented people. So I'm going to meet with you afterwards, and please give me information that I can take to the board meeting, and I'll get right back to you.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Talk to you soon.
Thank you very much. Please thank Sean McLaughlin. Sean, thank you very much. I'm sure you have a lot of certificates in your long career with the BBC, but here is another one from the PCEC, Certificate of Appreciation for your wonderful talk on your life in BBC drama and producer.
Thank you very much. This will be hung in Christchurch Studios in Bristol, where I produced about 400 plays. Okay? Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you once again.